Hey there, Heather. Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Cutter Degrassism. You thought I was going to say Cutter Degrassi Unpopular Opinion with that tone, but nope, it isn't. It is a Degrassism. Now, if you're looking at the playlist, the previous video I talked about this person and what they did with the Degrassi matchup stuff, and then I played along with the matchup, and it gave me certain characters and all that. From 1 to like 78. Of course, the teachers were not involved. So, looking at it, I looked at specific numbers and all that. And then I found out that, there was a 20th place person, and then there were like a lot of first places. But the simple fact is that I took a look at those characters and decided to think, wait a minute, have I done a top 20 Degrassi characters personal list? So I'm like, I didn't do a personal top 20 list. So based on that research from the video that you see, if not, I would suggest you go back to the video Degrassism and the Degrassism playing the mashup game, the Degrassi mashup, to see maybe a top 20 or top 10. So I found out that from 1 to 20, I got 20 characters. And then I decided to think, you know what? I'll be smart and, one person's number 20. There were 8 people who were number 1. I'm going to rank from 1 to 8 personally on who should be number 1 based on those numbers and all that. But, number 9 wouldn't be number 1 and all that. So that's what I decided to do. And I'm going to do my 20 thing. Now, you'll see me probably look to the side and all that. Like, look down. That's where I have my top 20 list. I have to keep a sheet of paper for certain things, cross-referencing, so that's why I'm going to keep it like that. All right, so I'm going to try to keep everything short and sweet and give you my top 20 without having to go into 2-hour territory. All right, so number 20 ended up being Jimmy. Now, I don't have hate for Jimmy. I don't have hate for Aubrey Graham or Drake, as he's now known as, but how were we supposed to know that Jimmy was going to be, the guy who played Jimmy was Drake the Mega God? But yeah, simple fact is that Jimmy was okay. He was a jock. He was brash and all that. He had relationships with Ashley for a while and then broke off. And then you got Hazel. And, Jimmy was with Hazel around the time he got shot by Rick. Of course, Jimmy was part of the anti-Rick campaign, but for good reason. I mean, after all, Jimmy was there with Paige, Spitter, Hazel, and to watch out for Terry and Rick, on a road trip. And Jimmy probably felt dissuaded at that and figured Rick did something bad. So he was on the campaign. He bullied Rick relentlessly. He actually was the one guy to dump him in the dumpster before Time Stands Still Part 1. I always thought it was Jay and Spinner, but no, it was Spinner and Jimmy. And Jimmy was put on the Wacky Brain team with Rick, Emma, and Toby because of Heather's famous mono. So Jimmy then realizes after Rick talks to him about, the fact that, Toby's going to be challenged and all that Jimmy actually passes off and saying, I can't do this anymore, and he won't be a bully. But unfortunately, he somehow gets the dander of Jay's, Alex, and Spinner. So, of course, Rick shoots Jimmy because of Spinner and Jay bullshitting themselves to take the heat off themselves for the pain and feathers by placing it on Jimmy. Jimmy comes back. Thankfully, he got shot in the spine, but yeah, he lost the ability to walk, but he's fine. He tries to defend himself. He uses his dad's cheating on his mom as a way to probably get some surgery and all that. So, yeah, he started from the bottom. Now he's there. Anyway, number 19, personally, is Sig. Sig top 20, okay, that's fine. Sig did have some good qualities, but I just can't get over the fact that Sig, I should have done fingers. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But anyway, I don't like Sig because of how he seems to be jealous of Maya when she's with somebody else. When Sig's with Maya, it seems like it's Sig making the relationship work. But with Maya being with Miles and Harry and all that, he gets mad. He gets jealous. And purposely goes with Zoe to try to get on Maya's nerves. I kind of call Sig the Veronica in the Archie Comics universe. Of course, I say Archie Comics universe. If you don't know, Have you been living under a rock with the whole Archie comics thing? But anyway, regardless, Veronica is this person who is in a love triangle with Archie and Betty. And at times that, Veronica steals Archie away from Betty using her wealth and all that. Mr. Lodge doesn't like it. But anyway, once Betty decides to go after Adam instead of Archie, Veronica, for some strange reason, says, if Betty's not interested in Archie, then I shouldn't be. Even though Archie wants to go towards Veronica, she goes for someone else. But there was a story in 2016, or was it 2011? I can't remember. 2016, 2011. The comic story is that Dilton tells Betty that Veronica is competitive by nature, and that if Betty drops Archie, then Veronica, by being competitive, probably doesn't want Archie around her. So that's what she does. So she jumps Archie off. But then after Archie and Veronica break off, in a sense, Archie and Betty date and go to places where Veronica won't frequent because, Betty doesn't want that to happen. But Veronica catches on and all that, and Betty actually kind of takes it out on herself. But yeah, I feel like Six like Veronica in the whole triangle with Cam and Maya, and also Maya and Miles. Okay, so number 18, speaking of Zoe, that was where I ranked Zoe. Zoe was a good girl in a sense, but the problem is that Zoe had a dark past. She was an actress who was kicked off the show because of drug problems. She was enrolled in Degrassi. She was basically flaunted by her mother, who didn't want her actress daughter to get in trouble, or else she would have raised hell and got snake into deep shit. And then, Zoe was a bad person and all that. But then Zoe gets raped by Luke Baker and his associate, and then all of a sudden Zoe makes a powerful statement in a rape trial. And also the fact that Becky actually stands up for Zoe and tells her brother, helps Zoe win the case and all that. But season 14 was a whole lot different. I mean, Zoe started named Maya. That's right. And then Zoe decided to do Degrassi Nudes to get money for new cheerleading equipment. Okay, fair enough. But then they post provocative pictures of themselves. And it didn't help that some of the Degrassi students actually bought the pictures, including Hunter, who bought the photos and all that. And they had Frankie, his twin sister. Like, what the fuck, Hunter? But anyway, yes, Zoe does not like this and pushes the cheerleaders to do her bidding and all that. And then they had that fire at Degrassi where she's upset that Winston wanted to blackmail Zoe so that Frankie can come back on the cheerleading squad. But then Lola explains to Zoe that, everyone's scared of you. You got to change. So Zoe goes to the cops and tells on herself. She ends up having to do community service in lieu of a 5-year prison sentence. And a lot of people say Grace should have been placed in the whole thing too. But yeah, so Zoe kind of was a mean person, but then she got sympathy. She came out of the closet and all that, a little bit aggressive towards it. But anyway, yeah, Zoe's mom kicks her out because Zoe's not getting roles and all that. Zoe's mom could also have kicked her out because she's lesbian, and Catholics, not all Catholics, agree with the LGBTQ2 plus movement and all that. But fair enough. But Zoe wasn't getting the roles, and Zoe's mom didn't want to work and earn her own money, so she married a sugar daddy, if you will. Zoe lived with Grace, and then Zoe was hoping her mom came to the graduation, but nope, she refused to. And Zoe basically said that she doesn't care because her friends are her family. I mean, I think she gets in touch with her dad. I mean, why would she be mad at her dad? Okay, so number 17 on the list is Liberty. Now, Liberty is a good character, and a lot of people say that the writers did minorities dirty. I agree with that. I don't think they're racist. I think they're more ignorant. I did a Degrassism on that. But the simple fact is that, Liberty was basically, for the first few seasons, just a total go-getter and someone who didn't really hang out much and basically was just nose to the grindstone with her books and all that, and she made some snarkiness. Liberty got bit by Coach Armstrong. What Emma thought that Coach Armstrong was doing something to Liberty, but Liberty was being comforted with her dyscalculia, despite the fact that she's a smarty pants. Liberty seemed to be an A type, if you will, and then she wanted to be with JT, even though JT didn't want to be with her. And then Liberty, was trying to grasp straws and all that, love over academics and all that. She ended up getting impregnated by JT in season 5, and then her pregnancy storyline fine, but the problem is it was told from JT's perspective and not from Liberty's perspective of being the mother of the child and hiding it from her family, although it finally came out. So yeah, so she gives up the baby for adoption. She goes through postpartum. Her parents tell her to suck it up, and then Derek saves the day by telling Liberty that you should make a memory chest for the adoption. And then, Liberty wanted to be with JT in season 6, but JT was around Mia. Liberty seemed jealous. A lot of people said, oh, well, Liberty has a right to be jealous because of Mia. Fair enough. But then, Liberty has a birthday party, and then JT looks for Liberty and then gets stabbed in the aorta. Liberty does her primal scream, and then she finally shows emotion. Mia calls her emotionless robot. And, Liberty tries to struggle. She ends up with Damien in season 7 when Damien was supposed to be with Emma. Liberty feels bad, but Emma says that Damien's the scumbag, and then Liberty goes off with Manny and Emma to college instead of being with Damien. So, yeah, Liberty was okay. Number 16 is Anya. Now, I feel sympathy for Anya. She did do some bad stuff, including dating her mother's gynecologist because, and she lied about her age. I think she just wanted love. Anya was portrayed in the first few seasons of her timeline on Degrassi as being Holly J's pet, if you will. Basically, Holly J used Anya to her advantage, took advantage of Anya's timidness. Holly J was just a bitch, and I'm not afraid to say it. And no, Holly J was not part of the top 20 when I did the mashup thing. But yeah, Holly J was a bitch. The simple fact is that, Anya wanted to be with Sav, but Sav didn't want to be. But Sav had a family honor with not Buddhism, Muslim culture, and Sav cared about things, and Sav could not tell his parents about him and Anya, even though they had good relationships. Sav was the bad guy in this situation more often than Anya was. And then, Anya finally stood up for herself in the face of Holly J and was a better character. But then she goes to the army because she likes to take orders. And that's kind of bad psychologically, if you ask me. But that's the way I am. Number 15 is Esme. Now, of course, we don't know much about Esme's emotional problems past the fact that Next Class ended at the worst possible time because we would have loved to see an Esme storyline. So Esme, to me, was fine, but she was manipulative AF. Simply put, she would try to manipulate people into doing things for her. She lost her mom to suicide, who killed herself in front of Esme at age 10, I think. That's what Esme said. Esme was easily triggered by pictures of Tristan in the bus crash that Miles sent. I mean, I understand and all that, but Miles just doesn't want people to forget Tristan. I wish I would forget Tristan. I fucking hate Tristan. And no, Miles is Miles on the top? No, Miles is not in the top 20. Now there's Tristan. So the simple fact is, I kind of liked, the fact Esme's there, and Esme has problems, and people help her out. Thankfully, Esme saves Maya's life because in season 17, aka Next Class season 3, Maya wanted to kill herself and jump off the roof. But thanks to Sig and Esme having love like rabbits, Esme tells Sig to save Maya, but don't make her throw up because she could choke on her own vomit. And, Esme's happy. But Esme was not happy with Sig gravitating towards Maya in season 4 of Next Class. I mean, Maya thought that she would get a lot of praise because she saved Maya's life. And when people gravitated towards Maya instead of her, she did a hissy fit. So, yeah, that's the thing. Esme probably is a good character, but with Next Class ending and no Degrassi for like 5 years. It's hard to believe. Number 14 is JT. Yes, number 14 is JT. So, yeah, JT was more the class clown and all that. He did mature quite a bit. Liberty always wanted to be with him, but JT didn't want that. JT becomes an actor and basically shuns Toby, which is bad because it leads Toby down a path. But JT goes towards Danny, that's Liberty's brother, mostly maybe to get at Liberty, who knows. But anyway, yeah, JT ruined his relationship with Toby on several occasions. He just wanted to be a part of the popular crowd. JT was taken to task by Manny in season 4 in the Monday after the shooting and all that, saying that, Toby has been loyal to you, and why did you dump him off for Webster? That's Danny's nickname. JT tries to get himself out of the situation, but Manny says, I'm glad we broke up because he couldn't be the bigger man. And then, JT apologizes to Toby at the end, saying that it doesn't matter what I thought about Rick. This should never have happened in the first place. And Toby nods, which was nice. That, JT at least took some accountability. And then the simple fact of the matter is that, JT, went with Liberty, impregnated her, tried to do everything he can to deal with this kid. He wanted to take care of the kid. He comes from a broken family that, his dad left before his mom gave birth to him, like JT. JT's raised by his grandmother. We don't know what happened to JT's mom and all that. But simply put, he wanted to be there for his kid. And I know he was upset that the kid left because of adoption. And then he gravitated towards Mia, which unfortunately got Lakehurst pissed off and all that, thanks to Nick. And then simply put, JT wanted to be towards Liberty more than Mia now. And then after, I guess, realizing about the Degrassi Lakehurst thing, he decided to walk away. But unfortunately, Drake Lampley, the redhead, stabbed him in the aorta. Game, set, match. JT's dead. And, people were haunted by his death and all that. But the most poignant moment was season 7 when, at the end of season 7, that, Liberty, Manny, Emma, and Toby went to the JT York Memorial Garden and turned his graduation tassel, saying that he graduated with them. Great. Number 13 is Connor. Now you'd be thinking, hang on, why would you rank Connor that low? Well, Connor was in that list of people who were tied for 9th. All that. Yeah, I know that Connor should be higher up. And I should have a bias because, Connor was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, which I suffer from in real life. But the simple fact is, Connor seemed to be an on-again character. I mean, I did make a Degrassism about Connor and me, struggling with Asperger's felt. Connor's problems kind of mirroring my problems and all that, which was great and all that. But simply put, Connor was a great character. Season 8, he was introduced as the gifted class and all that. Snake's godson, and people speculated that Snake's brother, who was gay, adopted with another guy. That's how it is. But being a godfather does not mean blood related, because I know for sure that one time, when I went down to the baseball game in Oakville years ago, for the Blue Jays, my Aunt Carol, her godson, Liam, was there, and Liam was not related to the Phipons in any shape or form. So yeah, that's big. But the simple fact is, Connor was there. Connor was acting weird. Shep took offense and kicked him out. However, Snake tells Claire that he has Asperger's syndrome. He's been diagnosed and all that. And then Claire leads a campaign to make Shep realize that Connor's okay and all that. Connor gets back to the school. He has his quirks and all that, but they slow down and all that. Connor does get in trouble with Love Queen 23 or whatever. The last digits were about a love thing, because, love in all the weird places. But yeah, Connor glowed up in a sense. I mean, he did get kicked out of Degrassi because of him taking underwear from the girls' change room and all that for an app. Well, for an app, that's fine, but, the way he did it was terrible. He got sent away, but then he came back, and then he became a decent character. He ended up being with Jenna, and, the writers thought that relationship was boring because they didn't give Connor and Jenna much of a relationship that actually worked. Kind of weird, don't you think? Number 12 on the list is Adam. Now, a lot of people will hate on me for this, but I know he was tied for 9th, but Adam, in a sense, wasn't as trailblazing or cunning as the other guys. But this is my personal ranking. Adam, I think, was great. It was trailblazing. It was groundbreaking in the Canadian TV lexicon. Yes, Degrassi is a Canadian show, and there's a lot of Americans on Degrassi Reddit, but never mind. The simple fact is that, Adam was huge. Transgender. He was born Gracie. He wanted to be a boy. She wanted to be a boy like Drew, her stepbrother. And, try to fit in. I know that Audra, aka Mrs. Torres, was not really that proud of Adam and all that. Drew is not in the top 10, if you must know. But the simple fact is that Adam wanted to be a boy and all that, and found some acceptance with Claire and Eli, found some love and all that. And yes, Claire is in the top 10, so is Maya and Emma. But the simple fact is, you know, I like it. And, Adam did some great storylines about trying to gain acceptance and all that. And then he dates Becky, whose parents did not like this relationship because of their Christian values, if you will, quote unquote. And Becky did not make the top 10. But the simple fact is that, he was even linked with Imogen. And, he didn't know what to do. And then he texted and drove and crashed his car into a tree. He survived for a while and then he died during surgery. And people were just upset. And, it was the burying your gays trope, the gays trope that a lot of people said that, they buried the gay people and all that. Like, not killing them off, but burying them in a sense. Like Paige and Sane. No, not Sane. Riley, sorry. Number 11 ended up being Cam. Now, yeah, Cam was in that group that was tied for ninth, but Cam, I figured, was a good character. Cam came in season 12. He was with other students for the Toronto Ice Hounds, which was kind of a major junior team. Now, if you're Canadian like me, you'll know about the major junior hierarchy, but I know a lot of Americans will be tuning in. What the hell is major junior? Is it like college hockey? In a sense, yes. But anyway, yeah. So the major junior team, like you get people from all over the world and all that. Dallas came from Guelph. Luke Baker played on that team. He came from Florida, which is not really a hockey hotbed, if you ask me, unless you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. But the simple fact is that, he was there. He came from Kapuskasing, which is about 10 hours northwest of Toronto, which is in Northern Ontario, which is very barren and all that. The simple fact is that, Cam was a tragic figure. Cam fell in love with Maya. He had his problems. He was homesick. He was lonely. Not much was said about how he was coping with that problem. He was trying to perform on the ice, but he failed miserably, and Dallas took him to task on it. Cam just didn't know what to do. He didn't want to let his team down, but he didn't want to hurt Maya, in a sense. So unfortunately, Sig got jealous of Maya and Cam's relationship, and Cam wanted to make things right with Maya after hurting Sig. But Sig tells him to stay out of Maya's life forever, so Cam decides to go somewhere. He breaks up with Maya over a text, and then he's found by Eli. I wish Eli was top 20, but I guess picking Eli was not the best thing. Anyway, so Eli sees Cam in the J.K. York Memorial Garden. We don't know how he died because Degrassi didn't want to sensationalize his suicide like the show 13 Reasons Why. But of course, a lot of people said maybe Cam slashed himself and killed and bled out. Maybe he hung himself. He just hung himself simply. Or another theory that pops up, I don't know how many people in Degrassi Reddit say it, but the figuring that maybe he drank garden chemicals because, garden chemicals are terrible and, if you ingest them, poison and all that, simply put. And as someone who has dealt with garden chemicals, both as a person in 2019 working at a nursery, dealing with garden stuff, and as someone who worked in the soil compound at Canadian Tire last summer, 2022, I know about toxicity and all that. So I know what I speak of when this happens. Okay, number 10 on the list was Claire. Yeah, Claire was the one that the writers loved to give lots of storylines, lots of different ways, saying that how will Claire or Ashlyn Paul, the actress, would take it. So they were setting up Claire to be Emma 2.0, and yes, Emma is also on this list and will be talked about later. But the fact is, Claire came in season 8. She made a few sporadic appearances earlier than season 8 because when Darcy was was hit on by Adams, Claire was there. Claire seemed to be a bland girl in her Christian school outfit. Her mother was basically telling her not to be like Darcy, her sister. And, Claire had pressure on her. But finally, Mrs. Edwards did better. But the simple fact for Claire is that, Claire wanted to be with a bad boy, that being KC, kind of like what Emma was with Sean and all that. But Casey was stolen from her by Jenna, and Claire dealt with her family issues, her parents divorcing and all that. No mention of Darcy past, the third or fourth episode of season 8. It was like, where the fuck did Darcy go? Why are you not mentioning Darcy? Why was Darcy not in the picture by the wedding cake when Mrs. Edwards remarried? Fuck. You could have just mentioned Darcy by name. Frig. I'm sorry, I just feel that way. Anyway, so, Claire's done that, and then, Claire has that relationship with Eli, which was weird and brooding and all that, on again and off again. Did you forget about me? Did you flip a switch? Big mistake. And then Claire ended up getting lots of storylines, like her magazine editor sexually accosting her and basically firing her because Claire went forward, but Asher got in trouble with that. She also had the fact with Jake. She wanted to be with Jake, but Jake's dad and Claire's mom remarried, which meant that Claire and Jake were step-siblings and no relationship and all that. And then, Claire was horny sometimes, too. And then she had the cancer scare and all that on her back and all that. And she, she got pregnant by Eli, but then the baby was miscarried and all that, and Claire didn't know what to do. And then Claire, as a sign of trying to get after Pill, like, they wanted Claire to be like Emma, being the crusader and all that, made her smash up the cameras. But yeah, Claire was okay in the sense. But yeah. Anyway, number 9, the person I mentioned twice in Claire's thing was Emma. Yeah, Emma unfortunately ended up being 9th on that list. There were 8 people tied at number 1, and unfortunately, because of the rule, I couldn't put Emma. I would put Emma in my top 5. I would put her probably number 3 or 4, but the simple fact is Emma was the main protagonist of the show. She was basically the one that the show was based off of when they decided to reboot from Degrassi High into Degrassi Junior Next Class. Emma was there. She was going to be a teenager. She was going through some issues, and it started from day 1, like the first episode when she got catfished by Jordan, and that's before catfishing was part of the popular lexicon. So yeah, she got catfished, and then, that probably started her being uncomfortable with a lot of things, but people took it as being self-righteous and being a jerk and all that. She had that problem with Liberty being comforted by Armstrong. It wasn't Emma's fault, per se. She did tell Manny, but then people overheard that and caused issue, and Emma had to do damage control. Emma had a few things with season 1. She fell in love with Sean, but Sean accidentally pushed her during an argument he had with Jimmy. And then Emma in season 2 was very triggered, mostly with many things, especially the relationship between her mom and Snake. And Emma felt disgusted. I did do a Degrassi unpopular opinion about that, saying that Emma was warranted. The way she did it was like a little off, but I mean, what type of kid would want their parent to marry their teacher? Like, honestly. But yeah, Emma got triggered a lot with that, the whole situation, especially with Spike trying to work Jack and all that, and she tries to make things right. I mean, Emma does have the right idea, but poor execution. It's like a relationship with Manny. Like, Emma was a good friend to Manny in a sense. Like, she had the right idea to try to have Manny avoid being this bimbo and all that. But unfortunately, Emma took control of it too much, and things failed and all that. More often than not, Emma was the bad person in that relationship with Manny. And then, she got triggered in Fight for Your Right, trying to talk about trying to get non-GMO foods into the CAF, but Radish says we can't because we're lucky to have CAF because of cutbacks and all that. And, teenagers don't really know about school budgets and all that. Give Emma a pass on that, but still. Emma became a bitch and basically said about free speech and all that. Yes, Radish was wrong about it, but Emma was wrong about her role too. Like, I don't pin one about the other. They basically both were craptacular. But it kind of was the jump the shark moment for Radish because, I mean, what good moments did Radish have after that Fight for Your Right? Not many. Then the simple fact is, Emma was triggered, and then, I think she was triggered by a few other things. I can't remember. But anyway, season 3, she had the falling out with Manny. She ended up being with Chris after Sean leaves her for the Candy Bandits. And, Emma almost ruins her relationship with Chris by being petty towards Sean moving on, in a sense. Emma has to deal with Snake's leukemia and a new baby brother, so that's that. She tries to handle things, but can't completely do it by herself. And then season 4, season 3 also, she finds out about her birth father, about Shane and all that. I mean, Simpson did the right thing by telling Emma why Spike was secretive about that. And, Emma understood. But then season 4 happens. She loses Manny and Liberty as friends because she got petty over the fact that she broke up with Chris, and then she was upset that Chris wanted to be with Liberty, saying that, how does that affect me? What do people think about me? And it's like, how? I mean, Emma, you don't care about what people think of you. But then, she does all this stuff, and then she gets in trouble, and then she gravitates towards Paige's clique to try to destroy Rick, but then she has a moment of crisis in their words, and protects Rick from a beatdown. So she's by herself. She's with the quiz team of Toby, Rick, and Jimmy, as it turns out. And then, Emma tries to protect Rick from things with the painted feathers, but then she blasts Rick when Rick kisses her. And then she gets targeted after Rick shoots Jimmy. Rick goes after Emma, and Sean saves the day. And I'm happy for Sean. And then all of a sudden, she became melancholy. She became dark. She was like secretly suffering because of the Rick situation. And then Secret came out in season 4. She was willing to go to the ravine to be with Jay in a sense, got gonorrhea in a sense. And then people hated her. But then, season 5, she has kind of a glow up. She wants to be with Peter, but Peter frames Manny for some stuff. And still, Emma wants to be with Peter, even though that Peter ruined Manny's life. Maybe because Manny was going to live with Emma and all that, and Emma felt compelled to control Manny and, wanted to thank Peter. I don't know. Emma's twisted. And then she had the eating disorder because, Snake got booted because of his treatment with Hatzalakos. She just wanted to control things and all that. But it didn't work out. And then season 6, Sean comes back in the picture with Emma, and Emma doesn't know what to do. Emma at first wants to be with Peter, but then after finding out Peter was not so great towards things and framing Sean for drugs, she dumps Peter off for Sean. It was supposed to be a good relationship. Then Sean goes to the army, and Emma feels bad and almost uses a fake pregnancy to get Sean to stay, trying to stay in control. The control issues were there. She ends up dating Davey in season 7, which was shocking because season 6, after the whole JT situation and Emma's problems, trying to talk to Manny about the situation, but Manny didn't want to listen to Emma. I mean, I understand Manny's point of view, but Emma needed to talk, and maybe Emma would not have been a prick near the end of If You Leave, if it wasn't for Manny avoiding her. But yeah, so Emma goes towards Damien, and, she has to deal with Snake's problems because, Snake was falsely accused of things by Darcy. Although Snake was cleared, he didn't go back to school right away, and Spike is like, don't let Emma get in control because she had an eating disorder. I bet you Emma probably would have snapped at Spike. To avoid that. And then all of a sudden, Emma loses Damien to Liberty and shrugs it off, and then goes to Smithdale with Liberty and Manny in season 8. Gets Liberty Manny to beat her roommates by illicit means. I don't know why. And then she's with Kelly. She tries to change Kelly, but Kelly leaves for the Yukon in Holiday Road season 9. And Emma feels terrible. She drops out of school because she was more about making friends than anything else. And, she seemed lost and all that. Poor girl. All right, so here were the 8 guys who were tied for first. First off, number 8 is Sean. Sean was this brooding bad boy that Emma, I guess, wanted to try to change in a sense. Sean was there. He was okay. He was decent for a few seasons. And then season 3, he leaves Emma high and dry for the Candy Bandits. Although the Candy Bandits weren't officially named Candy Bandits. It was just a Reddit thing, but that's how I go. So anyway, yeah, Emma's not too happy. Sean wants to do stuff. And Sean wants to do the other cards. And then Sean steals stuff from the school to impress his new gang and all that. Jay and them. Of course, Jay's heavily not top 10. I fucking hate that guy. Not Mike Lobo. I hate the character, Jay. But simply put, yeah, so Sean was okay and all that, and then Sean was put in Saturday detention by Radich, I guess, in a way to pay for stealing the stuff, even though that Radich didn't have any evidence, and then Sean ends up with Ellie, and then Sean kind of reforms in a sense. He becomes better. He goes to student welfare because, Tracker, his brother, wants to go to Alberta. Sean wants to stay in Ontario to finish his education. Sean got involved in the Rick Murray situation by being there with Toby and Emma when Rick wants to go after Emma. Sean saves the day by accidentally shooting Rick. Sean has the PTSD and, realizes that he killed somebody and was scared. I think he was scared that the cops were going to come after him. But I mean, the cops would have prevented him from leaving Toronto in the first place, if anything. So yeah, so Sean, in a way, was done after season 4. And then season 6, he comes back and everyone's like, what the fuck? But yeah, he said he came back for Emma and wanted to go to Degrassi better himself, but Peter wanted Sean out of the picture so that he can get to Emma. So Sean gets free for drugs. He's out of school. Jay helps him out with the car stuff. Sean actually was eligible to come back to the school in a sense because Snake said that after the whole situation with the mask in the locker that he would try to talk to Atzelakos and reinstating Sean. Sean's like, it's meaningless. I guess it kind of did. But anyway, yeah, Sean and Emma were an item. Sean had to partially deal with JT's death. But yeah, it was shocking. And then, Sean leaves for the army and leaves Emma high and dry. They allegedly talk about things. Sean comes back for a one-off in season 7, but nothing else happens. Number 7 is Toby. Now you'll be thinking, you put Toby ahead of Sean? In a sense, I did. But, Toby gets some love out of it. Toby is one of the most shat upon characters in Degrassi because, he wasn't popular. Season 1, he broke out. He helped get Emma out of the catfishing issue with Jordan. He was part of the dynamic of Ashley that we thought Toby and Ashley were going to steal Emma's thunder in season 1, which I thought they did. Toby had some self-esteem issues. Well, I mean, his parents separated, and his dad's with Ashley's mom. So, blended family, blah, blah, blah. And I thought Ashley was black, which would have been nice, but no, she wasn't. I'm like, shoot. I wish Ashley was black. I would have liked her better. As this, Toby in season 2 had eyes for Kendra and all that, was being creepy towards her. Actually went on the wrestling team to try to improve his social standards and be with Kendra, but he decided to take laxatives to avoid fighting in Sean's weight group. And, male eating disorder. And they showed a good perspective about it with the shaky camera work about how Toby feels about it. But, they did that poorly in a way. Toby does get Kendra, but Toby becomes possessive and smitten with Kendra in such a way he's controlling. He just doesn't want Kendra to break up with him because, he's a geek and possibly the issues with his parents played in Toby's mind. Kendra was locked the show by season 4. It's like, fuck. So Toby, was shat upon like JT left him high and dry. Toby tried to prod along. He ended up being Rick's friend in season 4, I guess because they were both geeks, both part of the quiz bowl team, and both had an interest for Emma. That's right, Toby had an interest for Emma. That would have been funny. But anyway, yeah, Toby and Rick become fast friends. They do a kissing bet. Toby easily wins. But, Toby's there when Rick takes the gun to Emma. He tries to stop, but he didn't do well enough, and Rick didn't listen to the reason. So Toby had weird feelings about it. Like, Rick's dead, but he's my friend, but he's also tried to kill somebody. He had the conflict. Back in Black, the subplot led to what Toby was thinking about things. And, JT not wanting to talk to him and all that. Fortunately, though, Manny gets JT to wise up. And, Toby and JT are still a dynamic. Unfortunately, Toby got shat upon when JT died in season 6. Toby was trying to go justice in season 7 season preview, but couldn't do it. He even had a thing with Holly J. Holly J actually liked him. That's weird. But yeah, Toby was the geek that no one wanted. Number 6 is Paige. Now, the only big problems I have with Paige is that, Paige kind of was why Ashley went downhill in season 2. Ashley tried to apologize for her actions, but Paige basically used her Queen Bee status to get Hazel and Terry not to be near Ashley unless they become outcasts themselves. Paige was basically the Queen Bee competing with Heather Sinclair to be the number 1 bitch, I guess, at Degrassi. And, there was even a mini saying that Paige was Heather Sinclair. Like alter ego. I would buy that in a sense. But anyway, Paige was a good person. Not always, but Paige had a heart. But, she helped Ellie in season 3 with her cutting, like, telling Miss Sove and trying to help Ellie out. She had a gay brother, Dylan, who Marco had eyes for, which I will talk about Marco, and yes, he is in the top 5, surprisingly, by most people's standards, but yeah. But anyway, Paige, I also am mad because, a lot of people say Rick's problems may be due to his dad. It could be, but I think Paige was also the big problem because, after all, Paige spread, in Rick's head, Paige spread uncertainable rumors and all that. And in his mind, Paige was the devil, if you will. I mean, Paige was looking out for Terry and all that. And Rick didn't like that Paige was pushing Terry around. I can see that. Yeah, Paige was kind of pushy and all that towards Terry and Hazel. I agree. But yeah, she set Rick off. I mean, after all, who was the first person Rick wanted to shoot in Time Stands Still Part 2? It was Paige. It wasn't Emma. It wasn't anyone else. It was Paige. But Paige calms Rick down off the ledge, if you will. Paige, of course, is upset over how Rick treated Terry. And she has every good right to. Paige was kind of a bully towards Rick, but then she kind of cooled off in a sense. It was just better Jay and Alex. But as is, I like that feeling. And then you got yourself the fact that Paige was in a relationship season 4 with Olander, which was kind of creepy and wrong. Paige seemed to want to protect Olander, which is stupid. And, Olander left her and gave her drugs. And Paige felt betrayed, and then Paige, for some reason, gravitated towards Alex and all that. That was kind of strange. Paige and Alex were pretty good, but Paige seemed to control Alex and, using the class system to her advantage. And let's not forget about Paige being raped by Dean in season 2, which, it took a lot of sass away from Paige. But Paige in season 4 got her rape trial in the premiere, but unfortunately, in an all too real ending, she doesn't get her justice because of lack of evidence. And then she crashes Spinner's car into Dean's car, trying to ruin Dean. Yeah, Paige had the weird relationship since season 4, with Spinner causing trouble, Rick causing trouble, Dean causing trouble, and Olander. She lost her marbles, in a sense. She tries to rebound with Griffin in season 6. She tries to rebound, but then she has panic attacks. She becomes a dog walker, if you will, in season 8's Degrassi Goes Hollywood. Hollywood. We find out Paige gets a lead role, but then acts like a diva and gets kicked off, and then she helps Manny get the role. Good for Paige. Number 5 is Marco. Yeah, Marco comes in season 2 dating Ellie and all that, but Marco has a secret. He's dating Ellie to prevent himself from coming out of the closet and all that. But Spinner finds out about it after Marco denies Hazel. Spinner demands to know why. Because I'm gay. And then Spinner writes homophobic shit in the bathroom. Marco is confronted and, comforted by Jimmy and the gang. And of course, they shun Spinner for being so stupid. Marco finds an attraction to Dylan, aka Paige's brother, and wants to go to a hockey game. One of Dylan's hockey games, but then he gets gay bashed, he gets, destroyed and all that. Fortunately for Marco, Spinner does come along and come to his senses and helps Marco out. Took a while, but hey, that's what happens. So Marco coming out was huge and all that in the Degrassi universe. It wasn't the first time or the last, but still, it was pretty good. Yeah, Marco was good, and then became student council president in season 4. Came out to his mom and didn't know how to come out to his dad, but in season 5, Marco finally decides to, and Marco's dad says, be true to yourself. Marco in season 4 had a storyline about not being allowed to donate blood because of his homosexuality, and, he's trying to struggle. Marco seemed to be a good character, and the funny thing about this is that Adamo Ruggiero, sorry, I can't pronounce the first name right. Actually, Marco coming out of the closet, it helped Ruggiero come out of the closet himself. So that's kind of weird. Okay, number 4 is Terry. Now, I know Terry only lasted 4 seasons, and it's like, why did you rate Terry so high? Well, there is a couple of biases you can probably guess if you have seen all my videos, which I know you haven't. Well, in many of my videos, I say that I have a connection with Terry. Everybody thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Were you on Degrassi? No. It's the fact that Terry's actress, Christina Schmidt, came from the same high school as me. And she was in high school around the same time I was. I mean, I graduated in 2003, but I think she spent 1 or 2 years at Waterloo Oxford while I was at Waterloo Oxford. And of course, Waterloo Oxford District Secondary School in Baden, Ontario, which is northwest of Kitchener, which of course you can see the banner back here, Kitchener Rangers. So yeah, from Southern Ontario. So yeah, I don't think she knew who I was, and probably doesn't know about me talking about her, Christina Schmidt. But yeah, Terry was this plus size girl who had self esteem issues. A lot of plus size girls have that problem. A lot of people have self esteem issues, no matter how perfect you think you are. But the simple fact is that Terry wanted to be with a guy and all that. The first few seasons, she couldn't find somebody. She was a loner. She was in Paige's friend group, the Clique. And then she finds Rick, leaving roses out of her locker, and then gets drawn to him. But Rick becomes emotionally and physically abusive, and all that. Terry ends up getting cracked on the head on the rock with the coma in a coma thanks to Rick. And Terry does make a few appearances in season 3, and then that's it. We have no talk about her. I know she probably wanted to go on with other things, but those stupid producers screwed Terry's character up. And I wish I knew what Terry would have thought about the whole Rick Murray situation in season 4. It just eats me inside. Number 3 on the list is Manny. Now, I think Manny's a good character. A lot of people think Manny's the best character in Degrassi history. I tend not to agree. I mean, Manny, unfortunately, her personality, being boy crazy and all that, loses her some points with me. Manny, was a good friend to Emma, a better friend to Emma than Emma was with her. That's for sure. I don't argue that. I'm just saying Emma was a better friend to Manny than we all think we are. All think. But anyway, yeah, Manny was crazy. She wanted to be on the Power Squad in season 1. Emma was saying that don't do that because you'll be treated like an object and all that. Manny doesn't agree with things. Manny becomes boy crazy mostly in season 3 to be with Sully, whereas JT wanted to be with her, but Sully is there, and she decides to wear the thong outside her pants, which makes JT walk into the locker, I think. And, Raj was upset. But Raj had good reason to. Many schools don't allow you to have physical underwear on and all that. So Manny decides to go commando, no underwear, and, almost shows her bare butt. Manny, in a sense, always wanted to be with boy. She wanted to be with Craig, but Craig, being with Ashley, the love triangle, Craig and Manny create a kid, potentially, and, Manny didn't know what to do. Accidents will happen, which was not seen in the U.S. for a couple years after Canada got it. And then all of a sudden, Manny doesn't know what to do. She tries to be a teen mom, trying to take care of Jack, aka Emma's brother, but not to no avail. She goes through with the abortion, even though Emma is not too pleased with it. Emma does come in and protect Manny from Craig's scorn, although it might have been desperation to get a friend, or basically saying that I saved your butt, you owe me one. Manny had to deal with JT and the penis pump in season 4. She wanted to be with Craig, but Craig wanted to be with Ashley. That's a weird triangle. And then, Manny goes to live with Emma in The Simpsons in season 5 because her dad was upset with her using money to try to get, not liposuction, but, surgery to help her get acting roles and all that. And unfortunately, Peter comes in and frames Manny with a topless foot video. I'm gonna be famous. So yeah, Manny lives with Emma and her family for a while because of her dad's strict rules. I mean, I don't blame Manny's dad in a sense. I mean, I understand, but to call your daughter a slut? Are you crazy? But then all of a sudden, season 6, well, Manny's upset that Peter wants to be with Emma wants to be with Peter and all that. And Manny's upset that Emma is losing her marbles with her eating disorder. Yes, Manny said she wanted to lose weight for a role. And yeah, all that. But Emma took control of the situation a little too much to Manny's liking and all that. I can agree with that. And then, season 6, she still has feelings for Craig. She wants to do her acting thing. In season 8, she's upset when her agent ruins her chances to get a role in a High School Musical type thing. So she ends up with Jay. That's right. Manny and Jay become an item season 7. Manny purposely wants to be with Jay so that she can get under her parents' skin, but, Jay proves to be a good fit for Manny. And he improves himself. But anyway, yeah, Manny, goes to Hollywood, gets her role back, becomes an actress, and leaves Emma, in a sense, high and dry. Number 2 is Spinner. Yeah, a lot of people say Spinner was a good character too. I agree. I like Spinner. But the simple fact is Spinner was kind of a bully, a bad boy in a sense. Like, yeah, he had to take Ritalin and all that, but that was only mentioned in one episode, and that was when he gave a pill to Jimmy so that Jimmy could do better on the basketball team. But yeah, Spinner was not really that great of a guy. He just rubbed people the wrong way and all that. Season 3, of course, he overreacts to Marco coming out of the closet, writes the stuff in the washroom, gets told off by Marco and Jimmy, and he's off the friend group. But then Spinner finally realizes he's got problems. Yes, Spinner could have been homophobic, and yes, Spinner was upset with Marco coming out of the closet to him. But that was because probably Spinner thought that Marco coming out of the closet was coming out to him specifically. Spinner had reason to worry. He thought that Marco was in love with him. Like, Marco tries to do the Heimlich maneuver on Spinner, but Spinner tries to push it away, saying that, no, you're not using your gay stuff on me. But then Spinner comes along and all that. I guess peer pressure. He's with Paige in season 4. Well, he's upset that Rick got away with things when he put Terry in the coma and all that. He suspected Rick and Terry were not good for each other. Spinner tried to beat the tar out of Rick, saying, why are you not in the hospital with Terry? Probably not visiting hours. But as is, I think in a sense that, Spinner had problems. Spinner's car got crashed by Paige, and Spinner was upset. That was his first car, and he wants money to pay his car and all that, and treats Paige terribly. Paige should have just said, well, screw you. I'm not paying your fucking car. But I think Spinner might have tried to sue and get possession back. Anyway, Spinner was one of the main bullies to destroy Rick. Like, Spinner had a good reason to get mad at Rick for what happened the season prior. And he's upset that no results were there. So he became a bully right to the end. Spinner and Jay set up the painting for this for Alex to dump onto Rick as the quiz thing. Spinner brags about the thing to Jimmy and almost gets himself in trouble, but Jay figures that Spinner needs to get the heat off himself, so they blame Jimmy for everything. Rick shoots Jimmy, and then Spinner does get wrecked with Gildan, does want to tell everyone the truth, but Jay says, you need to shut up, and Jimmy's not going to be your friend. Spinner does come clean and confess, but although it took too long, and he confessed to everyone he lost his year at school, rightfully so. He does a redemption song in season 5, going with Darcy in the friendship club, trying to clean himself up and make sure his friends talk to him, which works. He got Jimmy. But then he had testicular cancer and all that, and then somehow marries Emma. It's like, how random was that? And number 1, and this is my personal number 1, is Maya. Because why not? Maya was the epitome of a major storyline that they basically used in lieu of with Emma. So Emma was this bubbly personality, a cello prodigy and all that. She was fine and all that, and then she fell in love with Cam and Sig at the same time. Love triangle. Maya didn't know who to go for. Sig tried to destroy Cam so that Maya will be with Sig. Maya felt bad for Cam's problems, but then, Cam killed himself. Maya seemed indifferent, saying that suicide is a joke and he should not have done that. And I get it. Maya was right. And then Maya has visions about Cam and is upset with Cam breaking up with her over a text. She becomes promiscuous in a sense. But Maya unfortunately falls under peer pressure. She gets bit by Zoe, by cyberbullying her, and then she writes a song about Zoe, but unfortunately she gets in trouble. Simpson kicks her to the remedial room for some stupid reason. I think Snake was just scared of Zoe's wrath. Idiot. So then, Maya grows close to Sig and all that. That relationship is there. Maya does help Zoe deal with her problems with, and then Maya wants to be with Miles, but it's upset that Miles wants to be with Zoe. But thankfully, Maya and Zoe patch things up. And then, season 14 is when she starts to go off the rails, and Cam did affect her. That she did have the problems with the suicide, with Cam's suicide, and all that. She still had the problem. Miles was going down the deep end too. And Maya recognized it, saying that I can't have this happen again. But then everyone around her said that Maya was just being crazy. Maya was being overprotective, even of Tristan, which is stupid because Tristan broke Maya off after Maya reported Yates in season 13. So yeah, so Maya was overprotective and all that. Her family does tell her that, you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped, and it's okay to be concerned, but don't wreck your life. So Maya unfortunately doesn't get much of a point and all that. But thankfully she gets just after Miles puts his dad to justice in season 14, she smiles and is happy she doesn't have to worry about Miles anymore because he's fine. And I think in a way she finally alleviated her cam guilt. But that's not true. Because in season 4 of Next Class, no, season 3 of Next Class, season 17, as I put it, she has the same problems. Tristan got hurt, people got hurt in that bus crash, and she felt like death was becoming her, and she struggled with depression, and all her thoughts about Cam came back. And it was like Degrassi went back with the depression thing. I know they left Emma's PTSD problems from season 4 and 6 in the dust, and didn't really come back to it, but still, like, we all thought Maya was fine. She seemed to be fine for a few seasons, but then she went back to being dark, and she nearly killed herself with the pills and the bus crash. The bus being in that bus. So anyway, Maya seemed to be terrible and all that, but she got back together. And Maya's problems were huge. You know, Everyone thought Maya was Emma 2.0. No, she would have been Emma 3.0 because they put Claire for Emma 2.0. I think Maya gets a lot more hate than she should. Kind of like Emma in a sense, but fight me on it. Anyway, thanks for watching this 56-minute diatribe. I'm Jeff Diamond.